So I would say that it's rather unfortunate that many lives have been lost. The man is in hands of the law. He's being processed in court. I don't know whether they are going to give him a life sentence or they are going to give him a death row sentence. Whatever you do to him, the number of people that have lost their lives will never come back again. And his family are safely kept somewhere, and he has destroyed a lot of families. So all that we need to do is that we have to be careful. Within our own country, the security agents must keep their eyes open so that we don't have such a situation befalling us. It's rather unfortunate, and we have to have sympathy for the family who unfortunately got brainwashed and did not want to use their own brain and got themselves involved in this act of killing themselves for what? You don't know what they were. So I'm sure among these 275, there might be one or two people who probably would have been the president of Kenya, or would have been good doctors, or would have been, I mean, they would have excelled in their profession. But here we are. Some dude somewhere has convinced them to take their lives away. So that's all I can say on this issue.
Right. Thank you so much. Let me come to Comrade Kwesi Pratt.
Well, I mean, no doubt, religion has always been the opium of the masses throughout history. Throughout history. The havoc that religion has done to mankind, it's simply unbelievable. And sometimes you even wonder where to start from. Are you going to start from the era of Copernicus? This guy, excuse me, who came to the conclusion that the earth could not be flat, but was round. What did the religious leaders do to him? They caught him and killed him. They killed him in the name of religion. He was accused of blasphemy and killed. That is not all. 1452, in the year 1452, the Pope of the Catholic Church, actually signed the papal bull authorizing King Alfonso of Portugal to go out and enslave all those who were not Christians, authorized them to kill them, to seize their wives and properties. These crimes were committed in the name of religion. That is not all. I urge everybody who can to go to the Elmina Castle. The Elmina Castle tells a very interesting story. On top of the dungeons where the slaves were kept sat a church. The church was sitting on the dungeons where slaves were kept. That was not all. There's a point they call the point of no return. That is where the slaves are actually put onto vessels and the vessels sail away. At that point, priests used to bless the cargo. And what was the cargo? Slaves. So that the cargo could arrive at their destination to maximize the profits of the slave traders and so on. This is religion. You understand? You may not even end it. One of the very first slave vessels, the vessels which came to capture our forebears as beasts of burden to build the foundations of the capitalist society and so on, was called Jesus. The slave vessel, the name of the slave vessel was Jesus. You understand? Look, what was the major instrument that the slave owners used in order to domesticate the slaves? It was the Bible. They actually had two versions of the Bible, one for the slaves and one for the slave owners. And the one for the slaves had all these quotations about slaves, be obedient to your masters and so on. It's all in the Bible. Religion. And you see, we can go on and on and on. In Ghana, during the Achampon era, just here, Jowulu, a guy lived there. It was called the Jesus Christ of Jowulu. And he said that to go to heaven, you don't have to take your bath. You don't have to cut your hair and so on. And he had followers. It took the security services to arrest him and to dismantle that camp. People who believe that if you want to go to heaven, you don't have to wash yourself. You don't have to wear sandals. You don't have to cut your hair and so on. Right here at Jowulu. Not too long ago, we heard about that other bishop who actually told a woman, an elderly woman in his church, to carry a bag of cement. Carry a bag of cement.
Yeah.
And walk several kilometers.
Yeah. I remember.
So that she could be forgiven her sins. And it gets worse. It gets worse. The stories get worse every day. And I cannot imagine that with all this history, people still fall victim. You know, a lot of Christians love a particular Christian song, Amazing Grace. I'm sure you are familiar with Amazing Grace. And when they sing Amazing Grace in church, they sing it with passion. You know who wrote Amazing Grace? Slave trader. A slave trader wrote Amazing Grace. This song that Christians love most and so on. You take a constitution. I've been reading through the constitution because of this IE invitation for me to go and speak there about the constitution. So I've started reading the constitution all over again. And I'm finding very interesting things. First of all, the constitution pretends to be secular. But if you take the constitution, the very first chapters of the constitution talks about us accepting this constitution in the name of God. How is that secular? How is that secular? If you read the constitution, African traditional religious believers have no rights. No rights at all. If you read, for example, the provisions on the National Media Commission, it specifically makes the point that the Ahmadiyya movement, the Muslim Council, and the Christian Council should have seats on the National Media Commission. African traditional religious worship is completely excluded and so on. So I'm so happy that IEA invited me to do this presentation because it's forced me to go back and read the Constitution again. And I'm amazed at the Constitution and how this Constitution can pretend to be secular and to be promoting democratic ends and promoting respect for human rights. I can't believe it. But you see, in this particular case, I mean, 251 people in Kenya killed themselves. And they killed themselves through starvation. One of the most painful ways of dying, starvation. They denied themselves food and water and died. Because the priest told them that that was the only way of meeting Jesus Christ. But they should have asked themselves why the priest himself didn't want to meet Jesus Christ. Because the priest should have been the first person to want to meet Jesus Christ. He didn't starve. He's still alive. And as my brother said, his wife didn't starve, his children didn't starve. So he didn't want to meet Jesus. But the congregation were instructed to meet Jesus. And you know, my brother, some of the stories are so silly. You just sit back and ask, so how did human beings come to believe these things? There is this priest in Nigeria who actually told his congregation that he had found the gate to heaven. And that the gate to heaven was somewhere in Nigeria. So if you pay him money, he will take you to the gate to heaven. In Nigeria. And they were paying. Charlie. Educated people were paying. village elders were paying. They were all paying so that this priest could take them to the gate of heaven in Nigeria. Unbelievable stupidity. But you see, it is not just stupidity. It is not just stupidity. The capitalist system has completely failed. People no longer have hope. In our societies, the way our societies are developing, they don't see any salvation. How they can realize their full human potential in this capitalist neo-colonial society. So they are looking for somewhere to go, and heaven presents as an attractive destination. I listened to Muhammad Ali, that famous heavyweight boxing champion. You know, he's a very devout Muslim, or so he said.
Yeah.
And he asked himself in one of his interviews one day and said, why do I want to go to heaven? He asked himself, why do I want to go to heaven? That all the scriptures say that in heaven there is no food. The only food available is milk and honey. So for breakfast, milk and honey. For lunch, milk and honey. For dinner, milk and honey. Forever. For eternity, milk and honey. And when he said, hey, I love my steak. But there's no steak in heaven, only milk and honey. The heaven is not for him. Just on the basis of the menu available in heaven, Muhammad Ali came to the conclusion that heaven was not for him. How? Milk and honey. How bad? In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, forever, milk and honey. And you want to go there and do what? You know. So if all of us apply our gumption, I think that we can save some of these situations. Look, you can believe whatever you want to believe. But if you're a Christian, you certainly must believe that God created you. If you're a Muslim, you must believe that God created you. If you are Baha'i, you must believe that God created you. In fact, all the religions accept the claim that God created us. Now, if you accept that God created you, you must also accept that the brain in your head was put there by God. And that God did not put that brain in your head for nothing. Put it in your head to be used. So use that brain. Use that brain. And if you are religious, you must accept the equality of all men and women. So how come that somebody who is called Archbishop something, as for him, God gave him more powers than you? How is that possible when God created all of us equally? So use your brain. Use your brain. Use your brain. And be confident that your brain will be more powerful than that of the Archbishop. Because we've seen these Archbishops and Archangels. One of them now says that as for him, he has graduated beyond bishop. He's now an angel. And often goes to heaven to go and chat with Moses and Jesus Christ and so on. And the other day I saw him on television. And his congregation, they were clapping for him. When he said that he told you he went to heaven. One night he flew to heaven and he saw Jesus and had a conversation with Jesus. And he told Jesus that Jesus was a very stubborn boy. So the congregation was clapping for him. Listen, I mean, this is madness. Mother, this cannot be short of madness. Complete madness. And as Bob Marley says, let's free ourselves from mental slavery. Bob Marley told us to free ourselves from mental slavery. These are clear manifestations of mental slavery and stupidity.
Right. right. Thank you so much, Comrade Culy Forest. Our next topic is a very interesting one. OSP arrested me 3 weeks ago from Pomboating. So yesterday we actually broke this story where we heard that the former Minister for Environment. He was actually the chair of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. He was actually arrested by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. According to him, he was also granted a 2 million Ghana cedi bail. Well, the reasoning behind his arrest, well, we do not know, but we believe that it has got to do with that report on the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, the report that leaked and actually implicated a number of people who occupy the upper echelons of government, for that matter. So I'll be picking the thoughts of my guests. This is a very, very interesting one, like I earlier stated. I'll be picking their thoughts on this particular issue. And we know also for a fact that there have been lawsuits filed against him. We know for a fact that Gabriel Tredaku has filed a defamation suit against him. The leader of the president's security detail also has filed a defamation suit against Professor Frimpong Boateng. So I'll start with you, Chairman Adekoka, on this very, very interesting development with regards to that report on the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining.
Yes. In your submission, you said you don't know the reasons why he was picked up. The OSP says that he said the invitation was in connection with investigations into illegal mining and the activities of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, chaired by Professor Frimpong Boateng. Chaired by Professor Frimpong Boateng. What is the genesis of this case? Professor Boateng says that President Akufo-Addo once told us that he will put his presidency online if he fails to fight Galamsey. So in the course of this statement that the president has made, the president, I think, took certain measures to ensure that the statement that he has made is fulfilled. So along the line, a committee was set up, Interministerial Mining Committee, which was chaired by the Prof. And the Prof said it came to a time that a lot of stories came up in the seas. During the process of doing this investigation, he had so many blocks that were put in his way. He himself was even accused of, he and his son accused of engaging Galamsey and all manner of things. He was even referred to Shraj and all those manner of. So when this opportunity came, I think he then wrote a report. He wrote a report and gave the report to the Chief of Staff so that the report will be presented to the President. Well, we were sitting somewhere when all of a sudden some leaks came out about the contents of the report. So before even anything should happen, when the leaks came, we expect the government. The man said, has written a report. We expect the government to come and do what? Publish the report so that we all understand what the Prof was saying. But it seems that according to the Prof and the leaks, there's so many names that have been banded around. So many people have been indicted. And most of these people, according to the Prof, are people who are not elected, but they're the power brokers in this country. They are the untouchables. So perhaps because of these names that have been bangled around, these untouchables, the government is unable to publish the results and the report, what is in the report. So as we sit here, we don't know what is in the report. What we know, the snipers of leaks that has come out. Then all of a sudden, we wake up yesterday, you broke the story as to the fact that Professor Frimpong Boateng has been arrested. Here they are telling us that he was invited. And if you invite somebody, I don't know why you didn't grant the person a bail. They are reckoning that some people were kept over 48 hours. So we don't know if apart from Professor Frimpong, we don't know who else has been also invited or arrested. Yesterday, I listened to Professor Boatin on one of your sister stations, and I was amazed what the prof said. What the prof said. I mean, in any other jurisdiction, this government must be on its knees by now. He talks about so much corruption, and the corruption is at the highest level, and that whatever we are seeing regarding this Galamsey matter, it's not going to go away today or tomorrow because of the level of high-rank officials involved. So if you have arrested him, why have you arrested him for what? What is the OSP investigating? The man has already given you the whole what is happening. So the thing is on paper. It has been documented. So what have we investigated? I thought action will be taken on the document that he has religiously and copiously sent to you, the government. So what are you investigating? Now, the person who is fighting corruption rather has been what? He's been, what's the word? He's rather the person who has been accused of corruption. And I hear about procurement. According to him, they say procurement. And the word that we use to demonize people, procurement, procurement bleach.
Yeah.
That's the word. When you see that, no, so there's something wrong. What are big procurement issues that has come up that nothing has been done about it. And you see, if you want to look at the background of the professor, this is somebody, right, who he need not be a minister to be recognized in this country. This is somebody who set up a whole unit. The first African to be involved in open heart surgery. I mean, look at his credentials. So why will a professor of that caliber? I mean, he has been so gracious even to come to this country. If he has stayed overseas, do the millions that will be earning for him today to be arrested for corruption, procurement corruption, because he's telling the truth. And we cannot run away from the truth. Look at the water bodies. I mean, when I went around with JM on his last campaign, every bridge that we crossed that had water in it was like chocolate. Every bridge in the whole country. I remember when I was going to school, and we used to go to secondary college, and all those people used to cross the Pra River. And the Pra River is on the western Cape Coast to Stakradi Road. You can even see the fish. Some of them, you can see the fish swimming in them, sparkling white. Today, every river, look, you know, if you don't put a filter on your tank in your house, and open the tap, what you see in it, if it is because most of us have decided not to drink tap water, but now your gullies, the things in your stomach, you'll be amazed. Look at those in the mining areas. Look at the kind of diseases that children born bring along in their lifetime. So what has Professor Frimpong Boatin done? Somebody giving us the expose in this Galamsey menace has rather been charged or arrested or whatever it is. He says so many things. He says so many things that you'll be amazed. So when the frog comes from the river and tells you that the crocodile is dead, whom are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the frog or you are going to believe the crocodile? The man is telling us the truth. And for once in our lifetime, like Uncle Kwesi will say, like my brother will say, this country has so degenerated that now truth, the word truth, is missing in our dictionary or English vocabulary. Nobody wants to say the truth or tell us the truth. Rather, when you are a person who wants to say it as it is, if you are not careful, the next minute you are victimized. You are cowed into submission. So, like all of us, what do you have to say? The truth is one. But you see, the truth will never go away, whether you like it or not. What they've done, rather, of whether invite him or arrest him, or has rather emboldened the man and emboldened all of us to want to know what is in that report. The government must publish the report. And those found who have taken this country to where we are today. Maybe today, as we sit here, the reckoning will not come. But one day, because you can never run away from the truth. You can never run away from the truth. So here we are. One question that they asked him, which was very fascinating, they asked him that among the contenders of the MPP primaries, whom does he think is there? You know what he said? He said none of them. Because they are all part of the corruption, the family and friends, the decay in the society, all manner of corruption. So not, I mean, if a whole professor in a particular party and he had worked with them and he says this, that within the ranks of the people who are contesting for the MPP primaryship, none of them has got any decency around themselves. Then this country is in trouble. The indictment is too much. So the OSP must come clean. He must rather tell us what he's investigating. He must rather ask the prof to give him the document. If he has a copy, he should give it to him to investigate the names that have been mentioned in it. Taking him to court, suing him is just to probably cow him down. But the professor says that at his age, nobody can cow him down. He's willing to go the full, because what he has said is, I thought the people would come and deny what he has said, but they haven't. They rather resort to the court of law. So let's see how it plays out.
Right, thank you very much. And now let me turn my attention to Mr. Philip London.
Yes, you know, thank you very much for the opportunity. When I heard this, I'm surprised to hear that apparently this, you know, yesterday, honestly, I was somewhere else, busy on some other matters, so I couldn't keep up with the news. I heard this story a bit late yesterday, and it's only until this morning that I'm actually finding out that this so-called arrest happened 3 weeks ago. The way it broke, and the way I heard it, and the commentary that was going on about it, I thought it was something that happened maybe yesterday or the day before. So, and the currency with which this story has, you know, been there and taken on shows the seriousness around this matter. I won't go into the issues of the case itself. I don't want to go into it because there's too much out there. The learned professor, a man who I personally have very deep respect and appreciation for, is somebody who came up with his findings. There's a lot about the reports that he presented which have not been made, that have not been come out with the report itself. There's a lot about the circumstances under which he wrote it, who told him to write it, and what happened before, etc., etc. There's so much around it that document is so explosive that I would want to even stay clear of some of the things in it because it's so murky, so. I would have wished His Excellency the President would have done his investigation of it, whatever findings he came out with. Publish the findings and say, look, this is what Professor Fimpo has said, these are the investigations we have carried out, and these are our views. End of the matter. Those issues that they think should be prosecuted are prosecuted, those ones that have to be left to go because they are found to be incorrect or false or whatever, it's dealt with. But the issue in discussion right now is not necessarily the report. The issue now comes to what is happening. So what is happening? Professor Fimpo Martin was invited by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I saw an interview that he had with, I think that interview was done yesterday, a journalist at the sister station. And he was talking about the invitation, etc. So I thought it was just that same day. Then I saw another interview by Mr. Culy Kwame Pianim, sorry. Mr. Kwame Pianim. And he, and they discussed the matter. I am dumbfounded with the way this whole thing has gone. Either clear charges should have been leveled against the professor, and those charges be established and the basis for the charges also be made clear. But it appears he was invited. He goes to a whole rigmarole of, from what he himself said, of questioning. It's like they're asking so many different matters. I don't know whether they're now looking for charges or whatever. Now they settle on expenditures of his committee, 300 and something million. But these are the expenditures of his committee. I think there should have been an audit report or something that would have established who were faulty, what specific areas of expenditure are in question, either expenditure of procurement or whatever. All that is shrouded in mystery. It's all not clear. But what we are all seeing is that this is what Professor Fimpo Martin is going through. First of all, in this country, a lot of people would ask when they see somebody, they say, why are you going into involving yourself into this thing? Why are you getting involved? Why? Because politics has become so murky and dirty and so if people have an opinion that a particular individual, the way you are, the way you go about your affairs, the way you are known to be, they don't see you to be involved in this, to fit into this type of environment. But there are many people who feel that no matter what, people need to get involved to help whatever is wrong with the system, to help to correct it. So the system has to be, people have to get involved. You can't say that we'll leave it for everybody. No, you have to get involved. And I believe that was what motivated Professor Fimpo Martin to get involved in politics. He has served this country. He has served this country selflessly. He didn't need to do what he did for Ghana. He was comfortable where he was. He set up the cardio center, virtually single-handedly, in a regime that was, quote unquote, hostile to him because of where he was coming from. The regime knew he was not a friend of the regime. It was not a secret to Jerry Rawlings that Fimpo Martin was not a fan of his government. But Fimpo Martin was setting up something. And Rawlings realized that, look, what this man is doing, he himself dare not stop him. So he supported him. And he succeeded in what he was doing. Not only did he set up a cardio center in Ghana, and then the first problem society was that it was the Nigerians who were flocking to Ghana for cardio services. Because they could afford it. And they were the ones who were always running to the United States and Europe for their service. But they were all now coming to Ghana. But at least that money that was coming in helped to expand it. He has trained cardio surgeons in Ghana, raised the level of expertise. He is now a world, reference point in cardio surgery. World reference point. His character has been established. He is not now going to try and establish his character and to say who he is or whatever. He is known. So it is credibility to any government when you have a man like this serving on board. So if he has done something and you believe that he may have done something wrong, I would have felt that would have handled it in a way that preserves the image of our own country. Not the image of Professor for a moment, but the image of the country. Because the question is now the image of the country, how we ourselves treat our own. That is the issue. The charge is being laid against him, or the purposes for which he's been invited. Is he the only person who those kind of questions should be asked to today as you sit here? Is he the only one? In this government or previous government? Is he the only one? So I think I see this in a taste that is not the best. It's not the best. I don't want it to be personal. I want to be on a principled situation and being very objective. I want it because of the deep respect I have for him, so therefore, no. But the way this thing has been handled, and I pray that moving forward, yes, what has happened has happened. Yes, we can't erase it. We can't take it to the Supreme Court and tell the Supreme Court to expunge all the news that came out over these last 2 days over poverty. Yeah. It is there. So moving forward, and in the handling and management of this case, I pray that we use all the political tact. What lesson, what message are we sending to all those Ghanaians? Yeah, they are saying about some other Ghanaians who have come. They are setting up another facility here. Top level. And one of the doctors who have been interviewed was asking that his friends were asking him whether he thought it was a wise decision to come and set up a field. But he felt that no, he has to come and do it. Though if he sits down and he sees the way this man is being treated, and what is it? What is his crime? What, we've seen people being prosecuted, but we've heard about what has gone wrong. But what has he done? What has he done wrong that we can say he has done, for which purpose he's been treated like this? So for me, this is what is worrying about the whole thing. As to the issues, the matters in the report, and those other matters, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it because it is too, it's. Look, we were all very hopeful when we started. When I say we, I'm talking about we as a nation. I'm not talking about His Excellency the President or the New Patriotic Party. It was a national fight led by the President. We are fighting Galamsey. All the media houses, everybody was involved. All the chiefs, everybody was involved. We saw the river bodies beginning to clear again. We were all concerned. We all saw it. Now we've seen the reversal. So we are losing the fight. Now in losing the fight, all issues, accusations and counter-accusations, the whole thing has become as murky as the Galamsey itself. So for me, I am not happy with how things are going. I'm not happy at all. I don't think we're handling it in the best way that we could. We should focus on the fight against Galamsey. Let us keep that focus and keep out personal issues, because it is becoming clear, rightfully or wrongfully, that there are certain people whose names may have been mentioned, for which purpose there may be some vendetta going on. That is the general impression people are getting. That is why I'm happy about it. Because there was a time in this country when that was the situation. When somebody crosses a certain first lady, or crosses a certain a member of government, or somebody close to the powers that be, we all see what happens to that person. We've gone past that. We've gone past that. Ghana has settled Ghana, we are all comfortable. We can agree to disagree. We can fight. When I say fight, not blows. We can have hot exchanges of our ideas. And we're all in peace. At the end of the day, we're going to sit down and have a drink together. You know, but when things start going this way, it becomes very, very worrying. And I will not hide it. It's not the best. It's not the best at all. And I pray that our leaders manage the situation much better than the way it is beginning to emerge, because the directions it's going is not in our national interest.
Right, thank you so much, Mr. Philip Landing. Now, I'll pick the thoughts of Comrade Kwesi Pratt on this issue.
Well, I mean, to put it mildly, I am very, very deeply embarrassed by what is happening. Defies logic. Is an affront to established processes. And one cannot help but feel that this may be a part to scattering the report on illegal mining in Ghana. I feel so very deeply embarrassed. First, the Office of Special Prosecutor says that Professor Frimpong Boateng was granted self-cognizance bail in the sum of 2 million Ghana cedis. The professor's story is that no, somebody had to stand surety for him. Now, if you're given self-cognizance bail, how come that somebody stands surety for you? And the professor goes on to tell the story about how this person who stood surety for him was taken to his house. They actually went and inspected the house of this person who stood surety for him. Who is telling the truth? Just leave that hanging. How come that somebody like Professor Frimpong Boateng is arrested and is actually given bail, and for 3 weeks nobody knows about it? The Office of Special Prosecutor did not find it necessary to make a public statement on this matter. They've arrested persons of little weight, many persons of little weight. The same day they were arrested, they found it necessary to make public statements. Sometimes they even announce their intentions to investigate before arrests were made. How come that in this particular case, 3 weeks have passed, and that office has not found it necessary to make a public statement? It doesn't hang well with me. In any case, the professor has not been charged for anything. There's no charge. And yet, he is under arrest and has been given bail. What is this? As a matter of fact, from what I know, I'm not a lawyer. You are charged after you have been made to make a caution statement. That's when we are charged. Nothing like that has happened. What is happening? Look, let us not act in ways which will dissuade persons from contributing to the national development process. One of the things that I've not been able to answer for myself is why a distinguished person like Professor Frimpong Boateng decided to go into politics the way he did. And even to accept the position of a minister. If I were him, I would never be a minister in this country, not even a president. His stature is way beyond that of a minister. And yet, he agreed to go and become a minister and be treated this way. It's amazing. I met him many years ago when he was struggling to establish the Cardiothoracic Center in the Korigwe Teaching Hospital. And my impressions of him at the time was that this was a gentleman. You know, gentleman in all its full meaning. who was ready to go to any length to help build this country. You know, at some point, he wanted to raise funds for the establishment of the cardiothoracic unit because government didn't have the money. And I remember meeting him at Golden Tulip, where he had gathered friends and so on, and was passionately appealing to all of us to make contributions. And he said that, look, even if he had 50 pesos, he was willing to take it. He was taking 1 CD, 50 pesos, and so on, for the establishment of the cardiothoracic center. He didn't steal that money. He managed to use those donations, 1 CD, 2 CDs, and so on, to build the cardiothoracic center. But now he's going to steal. Now we suspect that he's going to steal monies which were gathered from the sale of seized excavators. A lot of people talk about Papa Boateng as if he was only a medical practitioner. It was more than that. Some time ago, he also developed a passion for clean energy and started campaigning about planting of jetrofa and the use of jetrofa to produce diesel, you know. He was also at the center of a project to encourage young persons to innovate and to research into things. There was a young man who had developed some mechanism, I've forgotten what it was. I think it was some part of a vehicle and so on. And Professor Boateng assisted him to go to the US to further his education and so on. This is the guy we are talking about. It may well be, just may well be. Of course, the OSP itself has stated that this investigation is about Galamsey and his role in fighting Galamsey. OSP has stated that very clearly. But there's something very disturbing. If you want to find out what happened to any public account, what is the first step? Arrest? Interrogation by lawyers? The first step is an audit. Have they carried out a forensic audit of the accounts? What are the findings of the audit upon which this arrest has been effected? I don't know. Now, my friends, this is a leading member of the New Patriotic Party who is being treated like this. So can you imagine if he was NDC? I mean, I can't believe it.
Or CPP.
That's what CPP, they will let you go. If you don't post a trend, maybe. You understand? This is people who is being treated like this. So what if it was me? Or my brother Ade Guka? Look, we should respect the fundamental rights of all people in our society. And for me, one of the things that bothers me most is that all these things are happening at a time when my friend and comrade is the head of state of Ghana. And Adudan Kwaku is the head of state of Ghana today. So when I see these things happening, my mind goes back to the days when we used to work together, when we were organizing public fora across the country and instigating people to demonstrate because we wanted to deepen democratic practice in our society. What happened to all those lofty ideas of yesterday? And today, I think it's important for all of us to be minded by the fact that our leadership, our agitation, our focus on building a better democratic society led to deaths. People died. Whatever we do today, we must think back and ask the question whether it would honor the memory of Ahunu Honga, who was shot dead on May 11, 1995. Whatever we do today, we should try and figure out whether those who lost their eyes and lost their limbs and so on in the agitations that we led feel proud of what we are doing today. In many cases, I've come to the conclusion that Ahunu Honga will be turning in his grave. In many instances, I've come to the conclusion that those who lost their eyes and lost their limbs may feel that they lost these parts of their body in vain and for nothing. Look, we fought against Mr. Rawlings. In any case, I'm not so surprised. You understand? Because in his zeal to become president of the republic, one of the things that I heard the current president say was that Mr. Rawlings has always been his hero. He has been his mentor, you know, and he praised him for pushing the principles of probity and accountability and so on. And I asked myself, so why did we work against Mr. Rawlings? Why did we fight to remove him from power? Something is not hanging in well. Something is certainly wrong. You understand? Something is not hanging in well. I think it's important that all of us try. It's difficult, but we need to try to be principled. You understand? We need to try to be principled. And it goes for everything, including the internal elections in the New Patriotic Party. Should be guided by principle. We should not forget what we said yesterday. If yesterday we made statements to the effect that people should take turns and so on, we should be making the same statement today. We should be consistent in what we do. If yesterday we said that the struggle for leadership in our parties is about resolving the concrete problems which face the Ghanaian people, why are we saying something else today? You know, so I am completely shocked about this development. There are many developments which don't hang together. And I'm actually also surprised that I'm reading the OSP's reaction today in the Daily Graphic. Yes, yesterday when we got this information, we went out with it as breaking news. And we asked the host of this program to actually go to the OSP's office to seek clarification on some of the issues. And they told him to come this morning at 8:30. You know, by the time we wake up this morning, they have issued a statement clarifying their position. Whatever it is, I wish Professor Frimpong Boateng well. I really wish him well. And I hope that he will learn his own lessons. All of us are learning lessons.
All of us.
But he has lessons to learn. He himself has important lessons to learn. And I hope that he will learn those lessons. And next time, perhaps you think twice, if not thrice, about who he jumps into bed with in this turbulent political arena, which is full of lack of principle.
Thank you so much. I'll do a few of your messages from Facebook and, of course, on WhatsApp, and then the ones you've sent via text. This one here says, words of wisdom and inspiration from Uncle Pratt. Moses watching live inside KJB in the OT region. Amiaukisi from Takra, they say, I don't understand why the NPP elements that want to fight corruption are the ones turning against Professor Frimpong Boateng he has turned out to be their worst enemy. Interesting times ahead. Regards to Dr. Grace, incoming MP for Esikadu Ketan constituency. Good morning, Bless. I think this government is a crop of shameless people, and Ghanaians should stop talking about them. The day Ghanaian media stop talking about Nanado and his MPP, Ghana will start developing. Just as the saying goes, the best response to a fool is silence. From Master Rahman in Tuna. Good morning, my brother, and greetings to my comrades in the studio. If I may ask, what is the crime of Professor Frimpong Boateng at all? If a crocodile can eat its own flesh, what will happen to the flesh of a fowl? It is up to them. Good morning, my brothers on Pan African TV. The only thing I can say is, may Almighty punish and destroy any person, any individual who brought this our beloved country and its citizens to this appalling situation. Malam from Kaswa, Osmania City. Okay. President Akufo-Addo is not ready to solve the problems confronting Ghanaians. Ghanaians should vote massively against the MPP government in 2024 general elections. From Comrade Emmanuel Brie in BBNE. Thank you so much for your message. Those who have sued the good old professor are just beating about the bush. The prof did not publish any report. His report was marked confidential. Those people should go and sue the chief of staff, the addressee. Okay. Fusaini from Turawa Asamankes says, good morning, Bless, and your panelists, especially Angu Kwesi Pratt. Bless, Ghana is becoming a funny state, and so now a whistleblower or reporter becomes a criminal today under Akufo-Addo and his vindictive government. Why? Good morning. Good morning to you. This one here says, good morning, Bless. It's so sad to see a high-level personality like Professor Frimpong Boateng, who has earned himself a reputation internationally. He decided to come back home to help build the country and look at what his own people are doing to him. Ghana is really bleeding. This one came from Gilbert from Napari. Thank you so much. Good morning, Bless. Hey, Ghana, as for the arrest of Professor Boateng, it is too bad. Bless, I think the special prosecutor should rather invite those names mentioned in the report. They must respect the former Minister of Environment. Hey, Bless, if crocodile eats their own eggs, what would they do to the eggs of the frog? Kuonumaoli from Peje in the Volta region. Please, this station has been the best in Ghana. Uncle Kwesi, you are my idol. Our leaders in Ghana now are nothing but dictators and cowards. Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, panelists of Pan-African TV. When tyrants rule, justice is buried. It is quite worrisome the manner in which Professor is being treated, the way he is treated. This one here says, the Nanado Bawumia government was designed to tarnish the image of credible Ghanaians. Let's look at what they did to Martin Amidu Domelovo and now Professor Frimpong Boateng. Politics is killing this country. From Edu Isaac and Pankrono, Ultimate Chairman. Okay, thank you so much. So these are some of the messages that you've sent via text and of course on WhatsApp. I'll continue to read them. Please make them count. But let's jump into our next topic for conversation. Has got to do with the upcoming by-election in Asin North. And as we saw with regards to Kumewu already, developmental projects have started, roads are being tarred. We are seeing development in Asin North all of a sudden because of this by-election. But we know the NDC, they have settled on a candidate. And of course, Jachi Kwesi is still the one on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress to contest that particular seat. Also, the NPP, they have elected one Charles Opoku. He is a businessman and an engineer. He will be leading the NPP, hoping to capture that seat from the National Democratic Congress. Let me pick the thoughts of Mr. Philip London. He's a member of the NPP on this particular development and whether he has any hopes that his party would win this seat.
I'm going to ask your permission. Let me go back to Professor Frimpong. You know, when Kwesi was talking about Frimpong, it sent my mind back to certain things about him and why his motivation probably into politics. You know, after he set up the cardio center, he was eventually appointed the chief executive of Culy Forest.
Yeah.
Before then,
Culy was an MS.
Kolebu was not in a mess. Kolebu was a mess. Kolebu was a mess. There were people who, on their deathbed, they are afraid to go to Kolebu. Professor Frimpong Boateng changed the narrative. When he started, the workers fought back. He was too rigid, too principled. Nasemia Dean. There was always issues. They were fighting him. He too, he won't compromise. If this is what you have to do, you will do it. If he has to sack you, he will sack you. Eventually, the workers saw wisdom. Even some of the doctors fought him. Doctors and other professional and senior staff, they fought him. But after some time, he was able to turn the thing round. He turned Kolebu round. I had been in Kolebu sometime before Professor Pomati was the chief executive. I was in Kolebu again. I'm talking as a patient too. Inpatient, outpatient. And I saw the difference. Everybody, you see the difference in Kolebu. When the lands of Kolebu were being encroached with abandon, when security was a major threat, the nurses, they closed and they are afraid to go to their flat because the security was over. Frimpong Boateng changed all that. He made it, and people appreciated this man. You know, so yes, if a person has been able to do this, and he believes that given the opportunity, he can make that difference on the national stage, that may have been his motivation. And I will support him for that. It is unfortunate that he has going through what he's going through. So for some of us, we would always feel that we should, you know, those are like Kwesi said. I mean, there are lessons to be learned. We all learn the lessons, and for me, it is terrible.
Okay.
We must manage the situation better so that it doesn't send the wrong messages.
Right. I understand we have a little technical challenge. Let's go for a short breather. We'll return shortly and then we'll continue with the show.
As women achieve power, the barriers will fall. As society sees what women can do, as women see what women can do, there'll be more women out there doing things and we'll all be better off for it. Ladies, it's time for the biggest annual celebration of women. Join us for the 4th edition of the most prestigious Women Empowerment Summit in Ghana. Theme, The Future Can Be Different. Date, Friday, the 9th of June 2023. Venue, National Theatre. Speaking as change makers, Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency. Honorable Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins, Member of Parliament for the Klote Kole constituency. Sami Ewuku, Director General of the National Lottery Authority. Na Ashoko, Media Personality. Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, Minister of Information. Tracy Owusu Ado, CEO of Brave Consult Ghana. Portia Gabo, Broadcast Journalist, TV3. Jifa Tega, Deputy National Women's Organizer, NDC. Araba Kumsin, Broadcast Journalist.
Welcome back. It's still the newspaper review segment of the show. Good Morning Africa, live here on Pan-African Television. Well, before we went on that short breather, Mr. Philip Landon was making the point with regards to Professor Frimpong Boateng. I don't know whether he concluded on that, but we shall also be picking his thoughts on the Asin North by-election.
Okay, so I'll just end on the Professor Frimpong Boateng matter and make reference to a situation that happened when, as Chief Executive of Culy Forest, he went to eject the coffin makers. You know, there were coffin makers outside the mortuary, Culy Forest mortuary. And they had turned the place into like a timber market. They sell their wood there, they sell their coffins. It turned into a market. And he didn't like it. It was incompatible with hospital status. So he was sacking them from there. And the people went on demonstration. Massive demonstration. You know those coffin people, when they drink their petition until they are wild. And they were charged. They said that Boateng should come to face him. People prayed for him because they realized that as for that demonstration, he won't survive. And the people, they came in force. So Frimpong Boateng too went to meet them. And that was the day I respected him. When he went, the people, they had come with their drums and they are waiting for him. So when he came, they had tied red band. He do tie red band. When you're talking, he said he agrees with them. He said he agrees with them, but what they are doing, he agrees with them. He said, yes. He agrees with them. But they are doing their business and they are sacking them. They have to be annoyed. He said, so why? He said, because this is a hospital, they can't come and do this here. So they have to move. So he has arranged, they are moving. He has found somewhere for them. They will go. And this heated demonstration, he neutralized them. They cooperated with him, and he moved them away. That day I respected him. That's why I saw the politician in him. You see. So anyway, it's just the point I wanted to make. As for Asin North, yes, I know my brothers here are going to take us to the cleaners about the work that we are doing, the roads we are doing, the absolute all the projects. I know, so I don't know. There's nothing I have to say about it. Those are projects that we're going to be done anyway. I just hope. I mean, and for me personally, the lesson of Asin North is a better lesson for our party, the New Patriotic Party. Philip Aswa had a rough time because some people didn't like him. They made hell for him. Even when they were electing the presiding officer as the MP, they barred him from entering and treated him in such a shameful way. It is pathetic. All that has passed. Today, the Almighty has called him. There's by-election. The NDC is going to hope their candidate wins. As a member of the New Patriotic Party, I'm going to hope my good friend, the late Philip Aswa, is replaced.
This
sorry. You see, my mind is back. I hope that my prayer is that the New Patriotic Party would be able to get the seat, for Asin North. So that's all I have to say.
Right. Yeah. Right, Mr. Adekoka.
The question is, why did we get to where we are? That's the question. The question is, why did you see? It's not what is happening. Why did we get to where we are? I think we have a constitution in this country, and we have processes, and we have how we get to parliament. So where was the failure? Just 2 days ago, we had the reason of the Supreme Court on this matter. But this matter started with the MPP, who were bent on changing the face of Parliament. Uncle Kwesi will say that if you believe in God too much, you might have probably, but God decided that we should have a hung parliament. That one day, I think Uncle Kwesi will spare me for thinking that way. God in his wisdom said that for once you should have a hung parliament. And to see how governance will take place. Because if a party has so much majority in parliament, nothing happens. It becomes a rubber stamp parliament. This time round, God said, Lord, I'll give you a hand and see how we are going to operate. And the beginning of the hung parliament is where we have landed ourselves now. That one party was bent on making sure that they tilt the scales. So here's where we have an independent candidate who had gone to parliament, who was supposed to be independent in parliament, decided to go and join the government and be given speakership position. We then put our parliament into some kind of whether it's a serious institution or not. So a person has been elected, the Electoral Commission in its wisdom has given certain guidelines which everybody must follow to go to parliament. This gentleman, as far as I'm concerned, follow the processes. The body that gives you the go-ahead to go and contest an election approved his candidature, and he was elected. Today, we are told that the whole process was unconstitutional. And for that reason, we are going to spend another money to go through the same process. And ironically, the person who was elected unconstitutionally is now going again to contest. So the question, did we go or did we come? So here we are. And the government of the day is bent on taking the seat because of the situation in parliament. So what is he doing? And unfortunately for us, we are now debasing our politics to such an extent that when we are crying of our parties, our politics being tainted by corruption, here we are exhibiting it. Instead of the government going to tell the people of Asin that in the past 6 years, this is what I have done for you. This is what I have done in your constituency. This is what I have done in the country. That must enable you to vote for me. Rather, the government is going there and projects that, of course, they needed development. That should have been done and were not being done, are now being done. And it's marks of corruption, corrupting the electorate. We are corrupting them because of by-election or whatever it is. Now the government has moved so many equipment, and what is very interesting is that the people of Asin are even rejecting the development. And I hope all of us will take a cue, a lesson from what is going on in Asin. I want my party to win, but the electorate must vote with their conscience. Look at what happened in Kumewu, where Olonka, 50 cedis, cloth, and people were clamoring, and some people went with the interview were saying that, Mimi Akeni, all my family accounts, so I will have to vote for an account party. I mean, if this is what our politics, is what the founding fathers anticipated our politics would go, then there's no hope for this country. If people are not going to be objective, discerning, and vote because somebody is going to put something in your pocket for one day, and the rest of your life you are still in abject poverty, then there's no need for us to have this democracy. That's my worry about what is happening at Asin. That is my worry. That when we envisage this democracy, this is not what we envisaged. It has come to a time that government has to, so you can be cynical and say that all the 275 members must die every day. One must die every day so that government will go and develop. Is that what we are talking about? It's very painful. Sometimes it makes like Philip was saying. I mean, we go into politics. Uncle Kwesi has been this because he wants change. He has put his life on the line. I remember Culy Forest. All of us. I remember Charge. Our friend Amakwata. Where is he? He's dead, isn't he? To get this system, a better system for all of us. And here we are. We have a system now that people have to be bought to have to be paid, or come and give them some goodies for them to vote for you. And the money after that, nothing happens. So it's very worrying that we find ourselves in this situation. And, for me, somebody must sit up. All of us must sit up. There must be a conscious effort for the political actors to try and put a stop to this kind of, because it take us nowhere. One day we wake up and some adventurists will realize that all of us are corrupt.
God forbid that one.
Yes, because if you look at what is happening, I mean, President Mahama said it on the 4th of June, that people lost their lives for pittance. 4th of June. Just oppose that to today. Just oppose that to today. And if somebody decide to go crazy, what will happen to this country? Because we are creating the avenue for this kind of things to take place.
Right. Thank you so much. Mr. Pratt.
Well, the by-elections are on. I've seen two very instructive videos. I've seen a video of excavators and so on moving to the scene, apparently to embark upon some development projects. And I've seen people gather in their hundreds to hoot at the excavators. That's a loud statement. I've seen Culy Forest entering the constituency to start his campaign. And I've seen the multitudes on the streets. And he entered the constituency at night. I saw all these thousands of people with candles in the dark waiting for him. Maybe these two images tell the story. I have nothing more to add.
Right. That was very brief, straightforward as well. Thank you so much. That's all time will permit us for today's edition of the show. But there are a couple of your messages on Facebook. I'll read them, then we can call it a day. Mohammed Basha Yakubu says, "Good morning, Mr. Bless. Ghana is blessed having Uncle Kwesi Pratt alive. He always represents the voiceless people of the society in any national issues. Almighty Allah will continue to bless you, sir." Mohammed Basha from Yagaba. Sayyid Wisaka says, "Ghana has no president. There's a lack of leadership in this country. Thank you so much." Also, a Champon says, "Prof is not above the law. If the OSP has invited him, so what? Let our laws work." Okay, we hear you. Nana Yawache Iadomopuku Ajima says, "Good morning to you. You are the best. MPP flag bearership is not a two-horse race. Dr. Owusu Efiakoto is in the race to win." Okay, thank you so much.
I hear his slogan or acronym or something. It's Atupa.
Well,
no, that's official.
That's what I'm not
What's the meaning of Atupa?
How would I know?
All right, but I mean, he has also said he's going to rely on farmers to vote for him in this particular Congress. That's just by the way. A couple of messages, then we are done. Judy Mensah says, "This case of Frimpong Boateng's report reminds me of also Martin Amidou Sijapa royalties report, which Nanado tried to interfere with. Amevoche Edward says this Nanado and MPP governments can. Okay, right. Thank you so much. The final message from Hussein Turawa in Asamanke say, good morning, Bless, and your panelists, especially Uncle Kusipat. Bless, Ghana is becoming a funny state, and so now a whistleblower reporter becomes criminal today under Akufo-Addo and his vindictive government. Why? Good morning. Well, this is where we'll draw curtains on today's edition of the show. Many thanks for your time, and also to Chairman Adekuka and also Philip Landon and Comrade Kwesi Pratt. The viewers actually love the panel. They're asking that we maintain it, so it is my fervent hope that we'll be seeing you more often on the show. And to you at home who did the watching,
because of you,
I'll be campaigning. I'll be campaigning for my flag bearer.
Who is that?
But who else is my flag bearer? As well.
Right. Thank you so much. This is where we would say goodbye. The Friday edition of the show will be coming your way tomorrow. Hopefully, Honorable Alaji Hussein and of course Bernard Mona, they will be on the show tomorrow, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy that as well. Do have a pleasant morning. Bye-bye.
As women achieve power, the barriers will fall. As society sees what women can do, as women see what women can do, there'll be more women out there doing things, and we'll all be better off for it. Ladies, it's time for the biggest annual celebration of women. Join us for the 4th edition of the most prestigious Women Empowerment Summit.
Truly African.
Child and thinking, that's life. It's in knowing that I don't have a car. Oh my goodness, I need to get a car and getting a small, what's the smallest car? Give me something. Come on, guys. Picanto. And feeling yourself for about 6 months, 1 year, and deciding that, I need, give me something. Hey, V8, brother. Easy. Right? That is life. Are you listening to me? That is life. Now, if you are born and everything is ready for you, no difficulty, no life, nothing, and what is there to live for? Is there any excitement? I mean, what is that? So please, the challenge is embrace it with your chest. Right? Because perhaps if she had my life, it won't look the way it's looking. Are you listening? So please, as for the figuring ourselves out, it's every day. It's life. Right? But can we commit to doing the work that is necessary? I dare say that the men are braver and they can lift up their hands easier because sometimes they've done it over and over and over again. Like in your classroom, the teacher asks a question. The man will lift up his hand. The boy will lift up his hand and give some foolish answer, right? And we will laugh at him. Guess what? He has overcome the fear of lifting up his hand. He has overcome the fear of saying something foolish and getting laughed at. You that has never lifted up your hand, you have like 3 hurdles to conquer before you get to where he is. Do you understand what I'm saying? So can we just do? Because it is in the doing that the confidence will come. The confidence will not just come. It's in the doing over and over. Listen, walking up on stage, you don't know. People have fallen down countless times just walking up on stage. Oh, do you understand? I'm sorry, Tracy and Honorable. Now I wonder how you're going to walk up the stage. Right? But that's the truth. So you do that. Lift up your hand. Do that. Speak. Do that. Eventually, you will say something sensible. But you've built your courage and you've built your confidence. And it's in the doing, the taking small steps every day, small. The future will be different. I've seen Mama lift up her hand. Let's hear Mama.
Thank you so much. My name is Patience Babanti, but I'll go local. Yes, because it's my land. Yes. And you have a fear la senior. You can me not to a shedgy. To me a non viewer, but blabak patchy. Le more black but tonkuma, a toshi woman organizer over Yaji, and ya eletimanam, Bama Bluffy. A labamia woman, never woman organizer. Uma wo the party but woman organizer and you. Wo banova, miaba a comma, walk by the diffume, I walk by the non. Kakafia mabakba mia non wola, Aromia non vioka jimia lefiala, over Zubola, the to come. A cover the viswin upon her, a jibirashi, for we a favi, a jibirashi, for we a tonvi, a jibirashi, no cromanyaka, ye lina de vimaba, wavana if ya baregbe, if ya has bola. Amadela ghetto, neidabo, or tofu, the viazu ghetto vi. Tala anyala, from ghetto to ghetto, from ghetto to ghetto. From station to station, Tala annuala at the Tamdemia Amachiaroji, Yenya Kamako Togwe, Hey, come here for coming president Lefia, Yetamania Grondo, never coming president, Namakoma Yonani, ta no ye, the parliamentar, not don't kuma, not blame a woman organizer, so no ye the Uber a comedy. Moka ngomnyanyo viobo, moka ngomnya de visiobo. Aba wele gbagbo de viova zubola. Nyanya nyabafi kama la vifela, anu zu dollar la de jinya. Manu khang be sia gbagbe. Manu kham alaba from ghetto to ghetto vimawa. Nu ka nyago bonanami. Ka fra chika fra shigbo jandre obasma programmer. Nyanya manona ma sia yi. Madona to, manya gbo manya cho. Tata mia no vida kagbena ba mi ma le kona magrebo o e baba ga me le tuji ndi kai me kama va fia ta ado e mola.
Thank you.
Mauna yire wa ida toji bi pada mi an.
Ladies and gentlemen, so all that Mommy is trying to say, I heard organizer, I heard ghetto, and I heard president, meaning that an organizer will come from ghetto and become president.
No, Kwaku, that's not it. I tell you what Mommy said. Well, Mommy has expressed a lot of concerns. She talked about the community, the society, some of the problems they are facing when it comes to the young ones or the youngsters, especially the girl child. Teenage pregnancy. She also talked about unemployment, and of course the engagements between the boys and the girls, and some of these boys do not even have good jobs, and so they give birth, and then these kids, don't have any future because they all don't have work and they're unable to take care of the kids. But she also said that she's been watching Pan-African television, or Basima, and so she is here today because she was told that you were going to be here. And of course, she's also telling honorable member for the North Tomp constituency to always remember them when he's in parliament, as in champion their cause. So Kweku, please, you are warned. Let's go. Mommy, akpa kakakasia. Akpa now.
Thank you, Harriet. That's a very multilingual Harriet Nati. She speaks, I don't know how many languages. Yeah, that's our Harriet. Okay, so I think that for my session, we did this together, right? All of us did that. And I hope that we have had a discussion that has been meaningful to you one way or the other. Please, the future can be different, but it depends on us and what we do today, yeah? So really, let's make a different future. Thank you so much. Oh, one more thing. Hold on, please. I can't sit down without inviting the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa and Madam Tracy to go up on stage.
Let's show some appreciation to Ama Pratt as well as we welcome the Honorable Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency and of course Tracy Brave. Let me get this right. So, Kweku, can you help me with
Brave
that?
Connect GH and Brave Part.
All right.
That's what.
Let's show some love to Tracy as well. Thank you very much, Tracy. And of course, thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us on today's episode of Obasima. Of course, we are here. Tracy? Okay, sure. So I understand we will start the conversation with Tracy. But quickly, though, Kweku, a lot has been said by our boss, Ama Pratt, who is the Executive Director for the Obasima Foundation and, of course, the General Manager for Pan-African Television. So she's my boss. And of course, I was so happy. What's the name of the other young lady? The one who shared her story?
The athlete.
What's her name?
The athlete.
Yeah, the athlete. Now athlete. Madam, what's her name? Elizabeth. And of course, Presla. Did I get it right? What's the name? Presla, right? It takes a lot to gather the confidence to share such stories. And my boss touched on all the things that one needs to go through to be able to share her story. I actually made a few observations. I saw some people, nicely seated on their phones, about 3 phones, and they were just touching their phones. And others were in agreement by nodding their heads, because they appreciate the fact that it took a lot for them to stand up and share those inspirational stories. So please, let's keep going. I love your confidence, and that's how it's supposed to be. And it's even much better to realize that women, we have a problem and we can easily identify our problem. That means that we ought to do something about it, right? And that's why we have the panel here. So thank you so much, Ama, once again. And thank you also.
In the meantime, I also made one observation. I saw someone sleeping on Facebook. Around this side. Yeah. No, around this side.
But remember, we are on streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, right? Pan-African Television. If you have your phones with you, please go to Facebook or YouTube and subscribe. And, of course, follow and get to know what is happening on Pan-African Television. This is where the real conversations are had. And, of course, we are ready with our panelists. Tracy, I understand you are the first to speak. So are you ready for us, Tracy? We're excited to have you here. Yes, please, that's yours.
Hello.
That's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Tracy Owusu-Addo.
I need to confess something. Hello. Oh, please. Oh, why are you doing that? Please, it's my husband who's the musician. Please, I have 2 left feet, so please don't tell me to dance. I beg you. I should rap. No, I'll bring someone else to come and rap. Let's do a competition. At least I can give something away. We break into one of Sarkodie's songs. 2 ladies. Who's up for the challenge? I'm throwing a challenge at you. Hey! Okay, one more person.
Okay, Emanuela also answer.
One other lady. It's a competition.
Please, my name is Emanuela also answer, and I'm from Ho NTC.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Emmanuel, hold on. Let's find the contender.
Yes. Hey, we were talking about opportunity. This is your opportunity.
Who's coming?
There's a TV station here. You never know who is watching. You're going to be discovered. One more.
Who wishes to battle Emanuela? Who? Woo! Woo! That's right. Let's see how this goes.
You see the sunglasses?
Okay.
She means business.
Emanuela, you go first. You go first.
Okay. So which song? You get to choose your song. Oh.
We were looking for rappers, and she took advantage, but she's a dancer.
Yeah. Are you also a dancer?
No, she's a rapper. No, come. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Come.
Madam Rapper, come. Don't worry. So Emanuela wants to dance.
Yes, you dance and you rap.
Okay. You ready? What's you? No, we'll do the rap first. Okay, DJ Mighty, give us one sack of the danceable tune. Let Emanuela spoil there. Emanuela, you ready? All right, let's go.
Manuela, you need to give them. Hey. Hey. Come on. That's right. Hey. Yeah. Whoa.
Make some noise. Come on. Hey. What's up? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. Come on. That's right. Hey. Come on. Hey. Make some noise for Emanuela.
She killed it. A round of applause for Manuela, please.
Where did our rapper go?
She brought some fire into the house. Thank you so much.
You have no idea, Emanuela. Osa papa.
Serious.
Even Amaprat could have never. Okay. You're ready to drop some bars.
Introduce herself.
Okay.
Please, my name is Agri Christiana from NTC.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Christiana. Okay. So what are you going to give us today?
Okay, we promise and Saturday.
Okay. Wear the shades so you are in character. That's right.
All right. Over the poverty.
You know, some money no be plowed.
That's right.
How about Koyade?
Thank you.
How about Koyade?
Thank you.
Say you too. Most
Okay, you gonna do freestyle or you want some instrumental? Instrumental. DJ Mighty.
So she mentioned the song.
No.
What song?
She wants the one with Kim Promise and Sarkodie. Is it Labadi? Is it Labadi? Or no? Can't Let You Go.
Yeah, that one. DJ Mighty, you ready? You need to be in character. Where are she? Alright. Let's see how it goes.
Nana.
That's right.
Na said that man used to know any that's why. Just about why my media. How much me the bit to a swa. Or the namatia. A cat mommy saw. Ella we can be bago. And the mama come codo. A jammy against bago. And then chance more. Ever since she came my way. I never felt this way before. Enyamo komo bo hate abi. It can be ham why. Live your life, never let you go. Come on, back with me,
Okay. Okay.
Ever since
What's you?
we fall in love, I've never seen yeah. Oh, back with me,
What's you?
back with me, Shoot for the driveway. Okay, me pen no walk and I say. Anything we do it our way. How many times to the kiss?
Oh, boy.
I remember Shumuka I say, for the door, baby. From nothing up to the payday.
What's
you?
Sure, they will walk my face. Come
to me like this.
What's you?
Look what do the right thing.
Okay. Okay.
Pay cash for money.
What time?
Listen to that song.
Let's go, man. Honorable is coming. I see Honorable coming. I see Honorable coming. Okay.
Good body, sweet face, in a big chain, daytime, all day. The big baby, and a violin. It's a violin. Violin, shawty when they like my thing, or to be exciting.
Hey, come on. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen.
And then I'm going for exciting, pay cash. Never forget exciting, pay cash, more money comes to the mind. Listen to the song I sing. Oh, baby, yeah.
Alright, that's more like it, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together. God bless you, Honorable.
Thank you so much.
Even Tracy says make you rap. This rap, she never feel rap.
No, I never feel rap. But she wants me to renew my vows again from that song. So yeah. Thank you so much. It's beautiful to be here. It's amazing to see your beautiful faces. This is my first time on whole campus. Yes. But I have had some level of communication, I think, with your WUCOM and SRC regarding the menstrual hygiene initiative that they're planning to roll out here. So you are in our minds, definitely. But thank you again, Amma, for inviting me here today. I really appreciate it. I believe in the power of numbers, as you mentioned earlier, us collaborating, working together, and actually become change makers, right? And that's what I really want to talk to you about today. How do we become change makers? How do we as women, or even as individuals, how do we actually take the steps, the actions to actually make sure that we are making an impact in our society? I'd like to speak directly to the young lady in yellow who mentioned earlier the fact that when we do some of these talks, sometimes it becomes very theoretical, but they are not, actionable steps that we teach in order for yourselves to be able to take those bold steps and the right actions to get to where you want to be. So before I start, I just want to say, I want to ask a question. How many of you here have volunteered in your community? Show a raise of hands. 1, 2, 3. That's 4, 6, 7, 8. So let's say about 12, 15 volunteering in your community. This is not someone telling you to go to Accra or anything, but in your community. We have only 15 people. How many of you have attended any sort of mentorship or conference around leadership? How many of you? Okay, a bit more than volunteering, but that's still not enough. What's that telling us? We are dormant, we are complacent. If you want to make a change in your society, no one has to tell you have to take that step first. You have to realize that you have to make the first step. I can come here and pour into you, but nothing starts without you beginning to do something. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and how my journey started. So I was born here in Ghana. At the age of 13, I moved to Germany. I'm sure a lot of you will say that you've got your parents outside and everything. But before I went to Germany, my mom left Ghana when I was 3 years old. My dad left when I was 5. I didn't grow up with my parents. I grew up with my auntie, so I moved from one household to the other. And I'm sure you can imagine how that would be like. I hardly knew my parents. My mom will come maybe once every couple of years. My dad probably never, not to say that that was a bad thing. But later on when I grew up, I understood that it was a sacrifice that they had to make for me and for themselves, right? Okay, so at the age of 18, my mom came to take me. She took me to Germany. I didn't actually know which country I was going to. I knew I was going to Germany, but I didn't even know that they speak a totally different language. Anyone here speak German? Keiner? Niemand spricht Deutsch? Nein? No? So you can imagine. That's the same way I felt. I went into a foreign country. It was actually spring when I went. I think I went in April, thereabout. It was getting warm, the sun was shining, but it was very cold. And I got there and I was like, oh my God, what is this? It was a total culture shock. No friends, nobody. In Germany, it was just my mom. We didn't have any family there. It was just me and my mom. And at that time, she had a partner who was German. So I had a German stepdad. But you think, wow, you got a white stepdad, things are going to be all rosy. Like, I mean, who can boast and say that your stepdad is white? I mean, people kind of aspire to that, right? So that turned out to be a whole different situation. He didn't actually believe that I could make it when it came to education. So he had intended to put me like in a training, I don't know how to call it here, but in Germany they have a school system. So gymnasium is like general SHS that we have here, and then we have Realschule and we have Oberschule. So Oberschule was like the lower level. That's for students who were not really academically good, but they still had to go to school. So that's the school he wanted to put me in. But God being so good, at that time in Berlin, where we lived, they had started an international school. It's both English and German. And my mom was like, no, let's try this school. Let's take her there. And I went there, did the interview, the exams, and God being so good, I passed. They didn't fail me. They put me in the same class that I was. At that point, that was in GSS1. So that went well, and I was like, oh, thank God. Like, I mean, I knew I wasn't stupid. I knew at some level I was smart. So having initially thought I would be repeated, that was something that didn't sit well with me. So when I was able to go into the same level of class that I was in here in Ghana, that was great. Then another challenge arose. In my class, because it was an international school, there was quite a number of different people from different countries. But the majority of the students in my class were Germans. So the majority of the students being Germans, that means they speak more German than English, because the majority in the class who spoke English were very small. And I was like, oh my God. There was one Ghanaian, I remember, one Kenyan, and then one Indian. The rest were all Germans. the Ghanaian and the Kenyan didn't befriend me. It was the Indian who befriended me. And till this day, I still remember her because she made my first year in school in Germany a bit more tolerable. If you know, kids can be bullies, right? Especially if you don't speak the language, you're from Africa. Me, I didn't know the dressing. You know, I was skinny, scrawny, kind of wearing glasses and all of those things. So it didn't really go well, but she held me out. God being so good, within 6 months, I could understand the language, but I couldn't speak yet. So that was still a challenge. But then I realized if I don't learn to speak the language very fast, I wouldn't be able to keep up. So I had to take extra classes. Like after school, I'll sit behind. I'll speak to my German teacher. He'll give me exercise. I'll be learning. I have to be reading books, newspapers, all in German. I had to learn. Within a year, I could speak the language. Yeah, and till this day, I mean, I still speak German. I'm trying to teach my kids, but hey. I went through the school system. I did I think at that time, that's equivalent to WASIC here, WASIC, yeah. I did it, and then I was able to go to university. When I chose a university in Germany at the time, but it was also like about an hour and a half away from Berlin, and that city was called Frankfurt Oder. And if you know German history, it's very much after World War II, right? There was East and West Germany. The West was the richer part, and the East was the sort of the poor communist part. So when Germany came back together in reunification around 1990, they came back together, but still development was a bit lacking in that area. So you can still see in terms of the people who live there, their mannerisms and everything, it's still quite different when you go to East Germany compared to West Germany. And they're a bit more racist as well. So I remember I would have to take the train every morning to lectures, an hour and a half. You go to this area, you get out of the tram or the train, and you have people on the street just staring at you because you're black. Someone can shout something mean to you, but obviously you don't want to have trouble, so you just act as if you didn't hear, and then you walk on. You have to be in survival mode. So after a year, I realized, no, I was studying business administration at that time. And I realized, no, this is not for me. This is not what I wanted out of life, out of education. I wanted to be able to have that proper university experience. And mind you then, by that time, I had left home. I moved out of home when I was 17. That's also for personal reasons, but that's a whole different story. I started working at the age of 16 because I had to support myself. And I knew that at that time, I wouldn't be able to survive home. So I started working at the age of, so at that time, I was still working in university. And I was living alone as well. And then when I realized this wasn't for me, I was like, no, I need to quit. I remember one of my friends was in the UK at that time. She was studying at the University of Kent. And I was like, wow, it would be so great to go to the UK